because it is not from a law school, either Greek or Turkish. And I am a fan of interdisciplinary approaches, so this is a good one, and the topic is also a very hot and interesting. It is related to the role of rating agencies in global financial crisis and systematic risk. Then we have a second presentation by Vasilis Katsopoulos, which is also talking about European Union agencies aiming you as a shift and as a paradigm. So, let's start.
Coşkun.
This is yours.
I think everybody can hear me without the mic. Is it okay? Can you hear me? Okay. First of all, I would like to thank you very much for your hospitality, and it was a great pleasure for me and for my colleagues as well to be here. This is my first visit, despite the fact that I've been living on the other side of the agency for a long time. Actually, I'm not a full economist. I'm not a full academic. I am coming from inside the business. 25 years with the central bank and the Banking Regulation and Supervision Authority, and spent a lot of time in Basel Committee, in the OECD, IMF, and the World Bank. And so, in theory, everything works quite well, but in practice, everything is very, very much complicated. And the role of rating agencies in the world financial markets cannot be questionable, despite the fact that they have received severe criticism from both banks and the press and the media, and even from the companies. And the situation is a little bit complicated, and we need a full picture of things, what's happening there, and how is it happening there, and what should we do. Actually, we have a very limited space to act. Being in the European Union is a mess, definitely. And using euro instead of drachmi is not pleasant as before. The old age people will remember, you know, you have the sovereignty, you have the freedom to use your own currency, and you have to make your own decision by your own central bank. Now the European Central Bank makes the whole decision on behalf of you, and the single supervisory mechanism, which I believe will not work properly, is another problem on the way. And there's another problem on the way, is banking union. And you will be regulated and supervised by a single center. And it will definitely be similar to the case with the rating agencies. They rate you without asking to you. Actually, they communicate with you, they conduct interviews with you, but they make their decision based on several parameters. They ignore your geopolitical situation, they ignore your culture, they ignore many things. So, let's start with some highlights. The global financial crisis, it's okay.
It's okay.
And the global financial crisis has revealed several issues need to be addressed yet. The first one, the rating agencies' rating of structured finance products. You know what structured finance products? Some financial product that is customized for your need. And it's very simple, structured finance product. But behind, there's a great mathematical edifice. For example, credit derivatives. For example, lots of different types of options, non-linear instruments. And I know, you know, there are super Greek mathematicians and financial mathematicians written books about it, and it's really complicated to understand, at least for a banker. So we need a new type of person, people, student, teacher, lecturer, academic, who is capable of understanding so many things at once. Mathematics, finance, and law all together. Which is virtually impossible to understand, impossible to cooperate. The second issue is the early downgraded behavior of rating agencies for emerging markets. You're going to see the statistics soon. Let's start with some graphs. Look at here, please. Sales of structured finance products. Until here, there was a great amount of structured products, which is a clear indicator of a coming crisis. We never know what is a structured product until it blows in our hands. Suppose that you have a hand grenade. You know hand grenade? A bomb. but still holding in my hand. It never explodes. But the only thing is that in normal times it explodes in 10 seconds. Suppose that this is some sort of a hand grenade, we never know when will it explode. So, if I give this hand grenade to my colleague and ask him, if you hold it for 10 seconds, okay, you're gonna make money. He holds it and makes money. And then, I give it to the gentleman over there, hold it.
I don't want it.
Okay, he didn't want, or he held it for 1 second and made a small amount of money. We never know, but this hand grenade is circulating among ourselves. If it explodes in my hands, not only me, but also they will get injured. Okay? And this structured finance products are something like this. We never know when it's going to explode. Who knows? The person who is customizing this product. Okay? Lesson 1. Very important. Rating agencies hire to evaluate the deals, asset-backed securities. Look at you, S&P, Moody's, Fitch, Dun & Bradstreet, and Morningstar. You know the dominance of these companies. But following the global financial crisis, the dominance of S&P decreased a lot. It's a matter of credibility. I'm going to show you another graph. This is sales of securitized bonds, securitization, you all know. And you know, look at this side. This is USA. This is USA, and securitized bonds, 2002, 4, and crisis, and recovered again. Not to that level, but reasonably recovered. Look at Europe. Beep, 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 beep. Goof. And stop here. They cannot be recovered as quick as they used USA, because they have all been transferred from the USA to European markets. Now look at here. They have been criticized for their role in the crisis. Look at here. AAA, Standard & Poor's. This is France office. People are demonstrating because they don't want rating agencies. They are downgrading the society. They are downgrading your welfare. I'm not the enemy of rating agencies, but the public reaction, public recommendation is something like this. Look at here. Their outsized role in the credit crisis is well known. By validating the transformation of subprime mortgages into AAA rated securities, actually CCC or maybe default securities it could be, based on mistaken assumptions about the US housing market, and they contributed to the infection of the global financial system. This is a very severe criticism by the Financial Times. Let's look at the market dominance. Look at here, Standard & Poor's, 44, Moody's, 38, Fitch, 13% of the whole rating market is among these big three companies. If you look at the financial statistics of big investment banks, Bank of America, Citibank, JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs hold 90% of whole derivative market in the USA for big banks, you know. And if you look at the number of people they are recruiting, actually they call them analysts, you know, S&P, 1,400, Moody's, 1,200, which, you know, 1,000, and the rest of them, you know, and including credit analyst supervisors. When I've been to Basel some 6 years ago, I asked some of the rating agencies directors a question. Why did you fail in, you know, rating these structured financial products? And one of them said that we have had very superb 5 analysts. They had been transferred from another rating company, so we failed to do it properly. You know, the key personnel risk, key staff risk, expertise and competence are the most important issues in every institution, even in the universities or, you know, rating agencies or the banks. Let's look at here. How do they behave? Look at here. You know, 5 years ago, the world was a fairly predictable place. Of course, in normal times, everybody can drive, everybody can navigate in the sea. But if it rains, if the storm, you know, explodes, and it's not that easy, you know, to captain, to direct, to navigate. So we need some sort of people who is able to navigate under stormy conditions, not normal times. In normal times, everyone is a normal person. So financial markets are not normal inherently. And, you know, topping the list in the scale of credit upgrades since January 2007, Uruguay, Bolivia, and Brazil over there. And the biggest downgrades were in crisis, hit the Southern Europe with Greece seeing the steepest drop, you see. They never be late, you know. Once they see something to downgrade, they are too quick. But when they see something to upgrade, they are too slow. This is called asymmetric behavior of rating agencies. Negative impact is much more powerful than the positive one. For example, if I ask you, I'm a very positive man, I'm a gentleman, okay, no, it's okay. But if somebody says that, be careful about me. You will definitely behave on the power of negativity and keeping an arm's length with me. So you're going to keep it, oh yeah, hi. Okay. This is the asymmetry effect, the rating agencies. This is human behavior in the end. And we always call it lack of adequate regulatory and supervisory enforcement. What I agree is that supervisory enforcement is the most important part of the work, because supervisors are too slow to react. There are several reasons. I worked with a supervisory authority for a long time. A quarter century, I spent my life as a supervisor. And the government is not as speed as you can expect, as fast as you expect, very slow. Because the decision-making procedures are too long. And they always ask someone else. Let's ask. So the authority has been transferred to the top. And financial markets are fighting going on there. We are, you know, making decisions. Oh, would you like that one? Okay, thank you. Aye. And we're going to sort it out. So, financial markets, speed. And Basel II, Basel III has been announced as the culprit, as the guilty of the financial crisis. Actually, Basel II is not a crisis prevention type of regulation. It's a type of regulation that prevents financial institutions to hold required or necessary level of capital to keep them against any unexpected outcomes in financial markets. For example, I'm going to give you a very simple example. You come to here. My question directly goes to students here. You come to school today, okay? Suppose that you are coming from long distance. How much money do you get with you? You take the bus, okay, 1, 2 euros, and lunch for 5, whatever. And up to 10 euro will be fair enough for all of you to spend the whole day without any problems. But the regulator is saying that, what if you miss the bus? I take a taxi, okay, get 10 more. What if you miss the lunch in the school, it was cheap, you go to another restaurant, get 10 more, 10 more, 10 more, and instead of keeping 10 euros in your pocket, you need to hold 50 euros every single day. It's a cost to you. It's a cost to banks holding extra capital. So, what should banks do? They have to adjust the level of capital they hold and the level of risk they face. The most difficult part. What sort of risks we face? Experience talks. Based on your past experience, you can make some predictions, but this could be 100% wrong, because we never know about the future. Can you drive the car by just looking at the rear wheel mirror only? No. You have to look forward. And always expect the unexpected. This is the main rule of the regulations. You know Thomas Friedman. He's a very famous journalist, and if you have time, please just read his life from the Wikipedia. He's an interesting person. He says that there are 2 superpowers in the world today, in my opinion. He said in 1996. There is the United States and there is Moody's bond rating service. The United States can destroy you by dropping bombs, like they are doing at the moment. You know? And Moody's can destroy you by downgrading your bonds. And believe me, it's not clear sometimes who is more powerful. If you have a little bit calculus, you can calculate the Moody's is much more dangerous. Apart from the human life, in material terms, a downgrade, one notch of a country who's running and revolving $100 billion, one notch downgrade is much more harmful than having an atomic bomb on your city. I mean, the spread and the stress that you are going to pay, raising funds from the syndicated markets. Okay, this is a map of world rating map. And let's look at here. Biggest upgrades. Uruguay. I don't know, do they have a power in financial markets? No. Peru, Bolivia, Indonesia, Paraguay, Philippines. And this calculation is something like this. And every single notch is 0.3. So if you divide this, I know, it's a big improvement. Biggest downgrades, Cyprus, Greece, Portugal, Spain, Iceland, Ireland. And if you look at the biggest changes from here, upgrades, downgrades, and the world map. What does it say? It says a lot, but it doesn't say too much. So, what did we do? By we, I mean Professor Kutumeri and myself. And we have two risk labs. The one is the riskonometry, and the other one is the risk lab Turkey. And the riskonometry has been established and run by Professor Kutumeri, and and the risk lab has been organized and set up by myself and my colleagues. And so we use a very interesting model called graphic data mining. This graphic data mining analysis over here provides you a picture, okay? A picture based on millions of data points. Less than a minute, you can make two things at the same time. And we use SQL and a famous software R, which is freely available on the internet. By using these two combinations, we can turn over 1 million data points analyzed and transferred into graphics within seconds. I'm going to show you some of the highlights. Look at here. For example, this is the rating status of whole countries in a single graph. By looking at this, for example, let's look at here. For example, Greece is over here. For example, Cyprus over here. Turkey is up there, and United States is over there. You see, this top two places I'm going to show you, like this. Painter options, highlighter here. For example, if you look at here, United States, you see United Kingdom, the best conditions in terms of color, the rest of them, one picture gives you the whole idea about the world, all countries. Okay, if this is not good for you, we can look at something here. Bond default spreads and their factors. Ignore this, please. Western Europe, a problem. North America, excellent. Middle East, some sort of problem. Eastern Europe, Asia, Africa, the graph tells you. I'm going to show you the data set. How did we produce them? And look at here. These are some number of the countries. And depending on the region, by looking at this map, you can have a clear view of all regions, total equity risk premium, and counter risk premium cross plots. And by looking at this, you can have a vague idea of which part of the world is much more safer based on the rating data. You don't need to deal with the numbers. You don't need to deal with the parameters. You just look at the picture. We call it a picture, not a graph. You're going to see. For example, if you look at this, local currency rating versus rating-based default spread, there's a close correlation between these two. The colors may sound sort of confusing, but looking at this, the size of default and the size of the country, you can see in one graph in detail. And for example, look at here, again, Asia, Australia, New Zealand, Western Europe, North America, without any problem, rating-based default spread. You see? Because the world map gives you the colors, but this gives you more fine-tuning. And if you look at the whole countries, for example, if you look at my country, Turkey is in Western Europe, the color. Okay, where is it here? Is it good or bad? I don't know. Look at, United Arab Emirates, look at UK, look at USA, okay, they're perfect in perfect conditions. By having some certain benchmarks, you can have a whole picture of the rating process over there.
Bu resmi biraz büyütmek mümkün mü? Hepsi
He's
okul.
asking that it was impossible to enlarge the picture, and if we had had a very big curtain over here, it would be great. But not at the moment. I can't do that now. But I can do maybe some. These are based on Fitch country ratings compared to Moody's and S&P. Okay? And I'm not fast forwarding, but trying to give you a clear-cut idea about how the things are appearing over there. And let me show you another set of graphs. This one. The same data, same logic, with a different view. And if you look at here, total equity risk premium has been increased, decreased, increased, decreased. And no need to further make an evaluation for the pictures, but it gives you an idea. For example, look at this. And another one, I think total equity risk premium versus country risk premium, based on the ratings and the regions over here. And another one, another type of graph you can produce. Another one you can produce, and this, extensions between two different lines shows you how does the market is behaving, extracting, narrowing, expansion, depending on the size. You can see hundreds of, data in single picture. I'm going to show you something else, and show you the original data set. Please look at here. How many data we have? How many parameters we have? And I think this is the shortened version of the, I think that we have a very longer version of the data set. And let's go back to presentation again, very slowly. And actually, I think that I have made my presentation. Do I have time, sir? A couple of minutes. Okay. And, systemic risk. And there are a lot to say about the systemic risk. But, this is a great paper by Dimitros Lysias, Mark Flat, Andrew Law, who's a physician, the consultant to Barack Obama, and Stavros Balavanis, and Office of Financial Research has been established following the global financial crisis. This is one of the best papers on systemic risk. Systemic risk is very difficult, and I'm just putting a very, small part of the data used to measure the systemic risk. You have to find out lots of data to make, it's like medicine, you go to a hospital, you need a health check, diagnostics, maybe you can do it. But on the internet, we have an excellent website, the lab, Volatility Lab, run by, Professor Engel, who's a Nobel Prize winner on the conditional volatility models, you remember, Arch and Josh models. And they have been developed this, methodology. And I think that I'm at the end. And what is the solution? We need rating agencies. Their methodologies need some fine-tuning between the developed and emerging ones. And emerging markets authorities need to develop further and more transparent communication with rating agencies. This is extremely important. Sometimes our ex-Prime Minister, new President, is a very angry person, and he sometimes said, let's stop talking to them. We don't want any rating agencies, but the international financial markets never give credit to you, whatever thing you say, but, I think that we have to develop some more transparent communications, despite the fact that I have taken place in many times, talking to rating agencies, but they have many people, not mine only. And data and data analysis matter growing complexity requires new ways to measure risk, and, as I've shown you, we need new ways to do this. And also, in Foreign Affairs Journal, one of the papers saying that all economic data we use at the moment is rubbish. Because they have been developed a century ago and mid-20th century. Now we need a more challenging measure, and the statistics of the 20th century were not designed for such a reality. And despite the serious efforts of statisticians, they can't keep up. So, it's you who is going to develop the new statistical measures to measure your country's power. And finally, a little bit humor. And this is 9/11, euro, and US dollar. watch out, the rating agencies strike again. And this is another interesting thing. Things will improve if Europe could speak with one voice. Help. And this is actually, and my final slide is this. Standard and Poor's downgrade our credit rating, and we are all morally bankrupt, and all actually bankrupt. Morally bankrupt, banking agencies, the financial institutions, and actually bankrupt the people. And Portugal, that NECT and BB+, BA3, and their rating, you know, and now will they clean up their acts? I wouldn't bank on it. No, downgrade, Moody's, the big banks, they are just eating. Don't do it again. But if it comes to Greece or Turkey or Portugal or Ireland or Iceland, downgrade. Thank you.
We thank also Coşkun for his very interesting presentation. I think this is working. Very interesting presentation, which of course is also a little bit different from previous one because it is from a different discipline. And since it is very dense and some graphs was you know, small, I personally asked you to email me your presentation if possible. Coşkun?
Coşkun?
I personally ask if you can mail me your presentation.
Sure.
Okay, and also I'll ask Vasilis if she can mail his presentation to other members of this, because, you know, I think it's worthwhile. Even I know that for lower some of these graphs may be a little bit, not all of them. I know that Vasilis is not among them and others, but I think it's worthwhile to have a look on this data in more detail. I think it is a very interesting analysis where we have to look in more detail and we have to look them, you know, it's not possible to see all of them in a short presentation. Okay, now, the last presentation, Vasilis, you are with, this is yours.
It's mine, I won't use it again. Okay, thank you very much for having me here. I'm standing here between you and your lunch, so I guess I have to make it short and